Okay, so what we have here is Noble Hill School Quilt, and I decided back, 2017, when we decided to take a trip to Columbus with the African American Quilt Documentation Project, that I would like to do a couple of quilts for our Rosenwald schools, and the first one being Noble Hill School. Worked with Valerie Coleman, the curator, and Louise Young-Harris, president, and Marion Coleman, the past curator, and they're right here. I was, wanting to feature the quilt itself and tell a little bit about the history, kind of sum it up a little bit, and had the idea of putting it on an old-fashioned chalkboard. And the history of the Rosenwald schools goes back to Julius Rosenwald, who was one of the founders of Sears Roebuck. He, along with Booker T. Washington, got together and collaborated on a way to build schools for the African American children throughout the southern United States. And they built around 5,000 schools. And we still have the Noble Hill School is an excellent example of a Rosenwald school that is in really great condition. So we have pictured on the quilt Webster Wheeler, who was the general contractor, and then this is Bethel Wheeler. Bethel is his son, and Bertha, his wife. Bertha donated the land to the restoration project to restore Noble Hill, and that was led by Dr. Susie Wheeler and Justice Robert Benham. And Justice Robert Benham is a prominent member of our community who has done a lot of work preserving history, and he was the first African American to serve on the Georgia Supreme Court, and he was the first Georgia Chief Justice, black Chief Justice. So we're very proud of him. Then we also have the first three trustees of the foundation: Alan Beavers, Winston Strickland, and Willie Wofford. And if you go down, we also acknowledge Joy Hill Watson, and who was director at one time, Cheryl Smith, who was the former board president, and here we have the current board president, Louise Young-Harris. The curator is Valerie Coleman, and past curator from 1994 to 2015, Marion Coleman. And on the quilt, I thought, well, if you're not familiar with it, how can I just tell all about it? Well, we took a picture of their historic marker. And so if you want to know what's going on with the quilt, and there's nobody here to tell you, you can walk up and read the historic marker. That's a photo transfer. Also on the quilt, I have the first educators, husband and wife, Myra and C.W. Williams. The photo of Myra and C.W. were actually on an old Model T car, and instead of recreating a car of them sitting on a car, because I wanted to do something a little three-dimensional, I decided to cut them out and put them on a park bench because that would be easier. And I tinted them a little bit to give them a little bit of color. They are actually the only people on the quilt in color, other than, if you notice, everybody's, there's black and white and there's color. Everyone in black and white has passed, and everyone in color are still living, but they're not tinted as much. We're sort of giving them a little, can tell that, but I want to give them a position, and I needed a little bit of dimension, a little bit of extra interest and to pull you up to the quilt. The school itself, I cut 1/4 of an inch strips all the way down to 1/16 of an inch strip, and I built it like I was going to build a house out of out of wood, and it is quilted, and it does give dimension. The trees are what's called confetti quilt, and thread painting. So and it did get an honorable mention, and I'm very proud of that. So this quilt will go to Noble Hill, and it will hang. It will be hanging on a board to give a little more smoother appearance. But I will hand this over to Noble Hill to put in the museum, and that will be around 1st of September. So, that's it.